So recently, we just got a huge wave of Doors plushies from the Outdoors series, and they came from none other than China. So be sure to stay tuned for this video, because some of them are pretty crazy, and you definitely don't want to miss out on this. So the first entity we're going to be looking at is actually Grampy. And if you don't know who Grampy is, pretty much Grampy, if you give him 8 of the lotus flower petals, he'll just make you a flower. It's pretty chill, pretty passive entity, but here's his plushie. I guess this one looks alright. Like, there's not a ton of detail into this thing, so if you haven't played Doors before, you probably would just assume it's just a really random plushie. And it's kind of hard to tell it's even an entity. But I guess they did an alright job. They included the scarf and everything. So, overall, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. Like, you can kind of tell who it is if you've played Doors, but overall, the detail is pretty bad. Alright, so next up, we got an absolute classic. We got the Groundskeeper, which is probably the main character of the entire subfloor. I have a lot of respect for this guy. I think he saves us a few times. He's low-key pretty chill. And let's take a look at his plushie. Alright, well, yeah, this is already pretty goofy. Just right off the bat, I can already tell there's a bunch of printed colors on this, especially with the arms, which I'm not a fan of. I think printed colors is ugly, but then again, what do you expect? Although I do give them some credit for actually adding the scythe. That's actually pretty interesting. I didn't think they would actually give him one of those, but it is kind of necessary to his character, so it does make sense, and I do appreciate the extra effort with that. So overall, I give this fella about a 7 out of 10. Again, it feels a little generic, but also not too bad. Alright, next up, we got kind of an irrelevant character. We got the Cause. Now, these little birds, they're alright, I guess. I do think they are necessary to the game, as they do make the game feel a lot more lively, but without them, the gameplay will probably still be the same. So it's not too big of a deal. But they did get their own plushie, so let's take a look at it right now. Alright, well, I guess this one's kind of alright. It's really hard to mess up these guys, like, they have such a simple design. So, I actually think they did an alright job with this one. Now, is it a plushie I would personally get? I don't know. I think I might get one of the other characters first, because, again, it's just such a random character. But they didn't do too terrible of a job here. Again, it's kind of a simple design. There wasn't really too much to mess up here. So, I give it a solid 9 out of 10. Probably not a 10, because it's like a bootleg, and it could maybe have a little bit of improvements, a little more textures or whatever. But overall, I actually think it's actually a decent plushie. Okay, our next character on this list is going to be Eyestock, which if you don't know who Eyestock is, pretty much Eyestock is the Seek of the outdoors. Overall, a pretty neat character, basically made out of a piece of birch log. I like it a lot, so let's take a look at its plushie. Alright, yeah, this one's pretty goofy. So already, it kind of just looks like the entire thing just has printed colors, which I really hate. And also, it's like orange for some reason. I don't know, it has a weird orange shade to it. I don't know if that's just because of the picture, or if it's orange. I don't really know. But overall, the plushie's alright, I guess. They added some pretty nice details with the vines and stuff, and its little bit of branch on its head. So overall, it's not a terrible plushie, but it still looks a little weird. I give it, like a solid 6 out of 10. Next up, we got a very, very cool character. We got the Bramble, which, if you weren't aware, is pretty much the main antagonist of the entire outdoors. Pretty much, the Bramble killed, or tried to kill the Groundskeeper. We don't really know. Either way, very detailed character, very interesting character, and it's overall super cool. So I'm really excited to see what the plushie for this looks like. I hope it looks good, but it's going to be hard to master something with this amount of detail on a plush.
Adrian.
This looks alright, actually. One, I'm going to say, this was a pretty hard character to do. So, overall, I think they did a pretty good job with what they could work with. I think they added some nice detail to this one. I think this one's actually quite nice. Would I get it for myself? Maybe. You know, I think this is one of the better ones out of all the ones I've shown today, as one, it's just a cool character, and two, I think they did a decently good job. Again, this looks like it has a ton of printed coloring on it, which I hate, so that's definitely gonna take it down a little bit, but I'd give this a solid, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Again, could just be a little bit better, but overall, I actually think this is a pretty decent plushie, and I might even get it for myself. And our final character here is the Mandre. Now, this is a pretty interesting character, as it kind of looks like Screech, but it functions a little bit differently. It kind of just pops out of the floor to try to eat you. Overall, some people find this character annoying, some people find it funny. Either way, it's a pretty interesting character. I like it a lot. But let's take a look at its plushie.
Enrique!
You know, I actually really like this one. This one's really cool and probably one of the best ones they've done. Overall, it just looks super detailed in the sense that they added a bunch of different details on the plushie. Instead of just printing them on, they actually made it a separate piece of plush. Now, will this one be the most expensive one? Probably, but who knows. And then, yeah, they did all the vines, they did everything. Overall, I actually think this one looks really good. I'm not sure if they used the same Screech model as before, but who knows? I don't really care. This one looks absolutely phenomenal. You know, I actually really like this one. I probably will get it for myself. Who knows? Overall, this is a definitely 10 out of 10 plushie. Love this one. If I see it, I'll definitely be sure to pick it up. And I recommend you guys get this one too if you're planning on getting one, because this one looks really neat. Well, guys, it looks like you reached the end of this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want me to open some of these plushies and get them in real life. And who knows, if you subscribe, I might give away a plushie to you. So you never know. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.